With outdoor access for 1 hour per day over 5 weeks, we saw a 1-point improvement in the locomotion score, on a scale of 1 to 5. 50% of my herd is made up of cows in their third lactation or greater. That alone has a major impact. These cows are profitable. Dairy cows are restricted in their movement for most of the time. According to the public, freedom of movement is essential for these animals. Thus, increasing opportunities for movement helps matching on-farm practices with consumer expectations. We let our animals outside mostly for exercise. It leads to better herd longevity. When they go to pasture, it allows them to move. During that time, we can also detect heats a little better. In the old barn, my father used to let them out because it made it easier to clean the stall and put down new bedding. When he built the new addition where we are now, he stopped letting them out because people said that with the new building, the cows were already more comfortable. But we realized that it was harder to handle them and that they were a little more nervous. That's why we decided to start letting them outside again. On average, the cows in our herd are between 4 and 7 years old. And about 50% of my herd is made up of cows in their third lactation or greater. That alone has a major impact. These cows are profitable, they have paid for themselves at this stage. Increasing movement opportunities at the stall is possible. For example, if you increase the length of the tie chain, you increase the dynamic space, and the cow will be able to move more. If you increase the width of the stall, the cow will be able to adopt different resting postures. However, our research has also shown that taking the cow out of her stall by giving her access to an exercise area, for example, or to a dry cow pen, further increases the cow's opportunities for movement and the associated benefits. A number of studies have been conducted to understand which characteristics and conditions will promote locomotor activity in cows, specifically with access to exercise areas. What we found is that giving access to an exercise area 1 hour per day will double the number of steps the cow will take. However, the conditions also have an impact. For example, cows will take more steps in an outdoor than in an indoor exercise area. The space given is also important. The bigger the space, the more steps they will take. And of course, the longer the duration, the more locomotor activity there will be. Regarding the benefits of regular access to an exercise area, for example, on hoof health and lameness, we found that 1 hour of access per day for 5 weeks produced a 1-point improvement in the locomotion score, on a scale of 1 to 5. We also observed that this benefit lasted up to 8 weeks after we stopped letting them go outside. Access to an exercise area can also help with handling. Because of the process, the animal is dealing with more handling activities. This had an impact on the relationship between the handler and the cow. Going to an exercise area also placed the animal in different conditions. The outdoors is very stimulating. One very important caveat we found is that the way the cows are handled will have a real impact on the ease of handling. You have to make sure the animals have a positive experience so that they become easier to handle. For this, you have to give the cow a chance to learn the whole process, which means taking your time, especially during the habituation period, to make sure the cow properly understands the exit process. Using force or trying to hold them back is not a winning solution in the long term, because it confuses the cows. Do you want me to go out or not? And this will ultimately lead the cows to become harder to handle. So it's important to respect their pace and their learning, to make sure the experience is positive, for both the cows and the farmers.
S'assurer que l'expérience soit positive et pour la vache et pour le producteur.
Our cows go out Monday through Saturday. I have 2 groups of cows, Group 1 and Group 2. We have 2 pens in the pasture, so we can separate the herd in 2. It's the same in the winter. Depending on the weather conditions, they go out to pasture from mid to late May until around November. In the winter, they have an exercise pen. The same principle is applied, except they go for a maximum of 30 minutes. If it's minus 40 degrees, they don't stay out as long. In the summer, they spend about 2 hours outside. In winter, it's 20 to 30 minutes. I send the milking cows outside in a specific area. In summer, the pregnant heifers and dry cows also go outside during their dry-off period. They are brought in only for calving preparation. Yes, for heifers especially, so we now have a pen at the end of the cow row. We removed the door and put in an electric wire. We start with a week of practice, so the heifers get to feel what the electric current does and what an electric fence is. After that, it's much easier when we send them outside in the summer. Also, before taking them out to pasture, we take them for a short ride using the tractor, which they are tied to using halters and a tether. It's much easier to get them to stay in the pen once we let them loose, because it has helped to decrease their energy intensity. As soon as I send the cows outside, I account for grazing when planning their diet. I only reduce the hay silage. I cut 4 kilos per cow per day at the beginning of the season, but that will decrease to 2 as the season progresses. And later in the season, for example right now, starting in September, going out to pasture has no impact. They go for 2 hours, but it's more about exercising than eating. In the summer, I cut the refusers once or twice to make the vegetation even in the paddocks. That way, the cows have access to a fresher pasture.